Hello everyone, this is Denisa Bernatova from Education Space Consultancy, and this is going to be a presentation about T-levels, basic information about them, and information about the Capital Fund and its application. So what are T-levels? T-levels are an alternative to A-levels and apprenticeships, therefore they are a level 3 qualification. So far 50 providers are starting providing them from September 2020. And further, 64 institutions were announced to provide T-levels from September 2021. So far, the curriculum for the first wave of providers will be released in February 2020, giving them exactly 6 months to get ready for the influx of students. And there are 11 routes and 23 qualifications in total, and they will be rolled out by September 2023. So on this slide, you can see them. So for example, we have a route of digital, and by 2021 we will have a digital support and services and digital business services. Under each of the qualifications, we also have a number of specialisms. These specialisms are based on the occupational maps released by the government. So what are the T-levels components? The biggest part of T-levels is the technical qualification, that is between 900 and 1400 hours. They comprise of two big parts. One is the core and one is the occupational specialism that I just mentioned. The core is obviously going to be the same for everyone, and then occupational specialism is going to vary. Next to that, we have a T-level industry placement, which is an innovative thing that T-levels are bringing. This is between 315 and 420 hours with a minimum of 350. These will be undertaken with an external employer, and they will also include a employer-set project that will be marked towards the end of the course. There will also be maths and English requirements, so every student has to reach GCSEs grade 4 or above, or level 2 functional skills. We also have, if there is a requirement for any other certification, such as first aid training or a DBS check, this is also included in the T-level program. So the industry placement, as I mentioned, is an innovative thing that the T-levels are bringing. This placement will not be paid. However, if the employer decides to do so, they are more than allowed. The challenge, a pilot was tested during the 2017 and 2018 academic year, where 1,500 students attended T-level style placements. In total, they tried out 3 different kinds of placements. The block, 1 or 2 day release, and a mixture of both. And the preference varied depending on each industry. The employers were also hesitant about this kind of placement for a number of reasons. These could be data protection, safeguarding, style of work, management, or just the lack of resources that they have or lack of staff. But the preference among the providers, the colleges, was actually to provide the work placement in the second year of the T-level study to prepare the timetable better and to prepare the students for what they should be expecting from a placement. So from the challenge, a report came out stating some case studies and general findings. So for the construction and digital, we saw that the preference was towards the mixed model. That was an initial block, introducing the students to the workplace, to the staff, showing them around, seeing how they could, what they could do. And then they would go back to the college and then come back for 1 or 2 day release, depending on what they learned, and they would apply it in the workplace. In terms of education and childcare, the work experience is already embedded in a number of qualifications today. So these were much easier to apply. In this instant, employers actually prefer the block model, as this gives the student a realistic picture of what is going to happen if they were to work in such environment. The industry placements have received some flexibilities in the past month. That means that now a maximum of 2 employers is allowed for the students. Any relevant part-time work can count towards the industry placement hours. This is to relieve students that have to either provide for themselves or for their families. Now, taster sessions are also allowed up to 35 hours. This is related to the occupational specialism that I already mentioned. So before a student commits to an occupational specialism, they can actually go and try things around, see what fits them, and then they can make their decision. And also specific flexibilities were released depending on the chosen route. So for example, finding employers was really hard in the digital sector, and so students can undertake a placement which is more general rather than too specific, because it would be too hard to find a placement for them. So in terms of the qualifications that the students receive at the end, we have a technical qualification, A star to E. We have a specialist qualification that is based on the employer set project. That's going to be a pass merit distinction. Obviously our maths and English. The work placement is going to be marked as complete or not complete. And then any additional certificates. As I mentioned, a DBS check, for example, that would be for education. Or, for example, for construction, we could have a license to operate a piece of machinery. And then an overall grade will be given to recognize if all of the elements were successful. This is going to be on the pass merit and distinction level. And this is majorly for the employers. When the student comes in seeking a job, this is supposed to ease the way in so they could understand what was done and what wasn't. So what is the Capita Fund? The Capita Fund is a 38 million fund that was allocated for the first wave of providers for 2020-2021 delivery. It has two parts. It has the specialist equipment allocation and the building and facilities improvement grant. And even though no further Capita Fund has been confirmed, based on the current funding for the further education sector and the fact that 64 new providers have been released, we do expect new funding to be announced by November 2019. So the specialist equipment allocation fund is pretty straightforward. You do have to have 50% of the total cost, and the details of the required specialist equipment can be logged into the Capita Fund application, which we will link down below this video so you can access it. It's a simple Excel document with a number of tabs where you fill in the information. It is pretty straightforward. However, if you do find yourself in a tricky situation or you're not sure about a part, do get in touch with us. We would be more than happy to help you with that. And then we have the Building Facilities and Improvement Grant. This fund should fund a new build, refurbishment, or an acquisition of a new building. This cannot be used for purchasing loose furniture or equipment unless it's a part of a bigger project. And down below you can see the T-level routes for 2020, construction, digital, and education and childcare. With the minimum project value thresholds, you can see that even if you were purchasing loose furniture, you would probably get into that bracket. And then obviously the maximum grant that was planned to be given out to each of the routes. And here you can see the requirements for the Building Facilities Improvement Grant. You can see that there is a number of them. It is very important that you check all of them as you go. I will take you through them as of right now. So first we have the application form that I already mentioned. That is an Excel document that is really important because some of this information has to be filled in just in that document. So, first off, we have the building cost breakdown analysis and the contractor quotations and cost estimates. These two pieces of information have to be filled in the application form. Next, we have the investment appraisal template that requires an external document, the planned project expenditure profile, and the financial plan templates. These two require some information filled in the application form, but also external documents. We also have cash flow template, that is an external document, capital project delivery risk management plan, and the financial risk management plan. These two require information filled in the application form. Next, we have a summary of RIBA Stage 2 design information. This is just to give more detail about what material we're going to be using and why. Then we have a planning consent and a detailed Gantt and flow chart and a project governance arrangement and confirmation of governing body approval. These all require external documents to be submitted. Next, we have a summary estates strategy and summary estates plans. These two require some information in the application form. However, they should be really tied in with a space needs justification and the evidence of condition or sustainability, it is really important, because a space needs justification and evidence of condition and sustainability have to be done by an external body. These should be independently done through an architecture company or a consultancy firm, because they do need to follow certain methodologies that the government has released, and it clearly states that this should be done by an independent company. They do need to tie in with the summary estate strategy, so you propose a unified suggestion for how you intend to use the fund. The evidence of condition and sustainability is really important, that you highlight the condition of your current estates, and that you try to address the ones that could be improved before you acquire a new building, or you try and build one. Next, we have the costed strategic option analysis, and then heads of terms agreement for acquisition and supporting open market valuations. This is just to highlight that you have considered other options, that you're doing what is the best for the value of the money. And obviously all applications must be signed. So, as I suggested previously, all parts of this application are assessed on a pass and fail basis. That means that if you do not pass, for example, your gun chart, they will not carry on reading your application, and you will not have a chance to succeed in your application. Based on our conversations with the Department for Education and their assessors for the fund, we know that in the case of too many institutions scoring the same score, the government will show a preference for those estates that will improve their estates from C and D to A and B category, as I mentioned before. So it is really important that you do address your estate as a whole, and that you focus on improving the estates that have the worst condition from all of them. So if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment down below, or send us an email, or give us a phone call. We would be more than happy to consult any part of the process with you, or answer any of your questions, big or small. I hope you found this informative, and I will see you hopefully in our next video. Thank you very much.